Some folks are joining in the chat. So excited that you could join me on this kind of impromptu live. It's been a while. For those of you who have been rocking with me for, I guess at this point, a decade, welcome. In the past, we've called this Ask Temi, but today we're calling it the Vault. And the reason why we're calling it the Vault is for a couple of different reasons that I'll get into, but primarily because after doing this type of work for over a decade, right, I've learned some secrets. I've learned some valuable things. And I wanted to find a space to kind of share some of these secrets with y'all. So whether you're with me on YouTube or LinkedIn or Facebook, I just want to welcome you. Feel free to engage in the chat. This is not going to be long, but we'll be doing a few of these things. And so as you're logging in, you might have seen the title, right? And so we're talking about the way the system really works. See, recently it wasn't even that recently. It's a conversation that I'm frequently having with one of my friends, and it's somebody who was in the education space. And whenever we have this conversation, one of the things that she consistently tells me is that the education system is not broken. It's working exactly as it was designed to do. And when we had that conversation, I realized that it's not just the education system. It's not just the legal system. It's not just the wealth generation system. The systems that we all are navigating are not broken. They are working by design. But the challenge is that for most of us, we're not playing by the right rules of the game. Some of us have not learned those rules. Some of us have not seen those rules up close. And so tonight, I'd like to spend a few minutes sharing some of the rules that I have found cut across demographics, cut across these different sectors, whether it be education, legal, wealth, right? Cut across those different things because I've been in those different spaces. And I want to share with you what the real rules are. When I first got started practicing law, I remember I had an event called Contracts Don't Cure Crazy. And the premise of that event, Contracts Don't Cure Crazy, was the idea that lots of times people would come to me and ask me to document something, create a contract for them, but they would be asking me to create a contract with somebody who wasn't the right party. And they were under the presumption that the contract would fix the way the person behaved. But the rules of engagement let us know that, hey, a contract by itself doesn't change the way people play a game. And so I apply that same thing here to let you know that there are certain things that intention doesn't work, right? So some people think that the systems that we're a part of are governed by effort. Like the harder I work, the nicer I am, the more I play by the rules, all these other things. That if I do what they say, that I'm going to get the reward, right? Because again, this is the rhetoric that many of us have been trained in, have been taught in. And so there's a system, there's a way that people think this thing works. But I'm here to tell you that the systems that many of us are navigating, whether it be the legal system, whether it be the educational system, whether it be the wealth generation system, these various systems do not reward your effort. They don't necessarily reward morality, unfortunately, right? And they don't even really award intention, right? So if you're trying, if your hope and your desire is, oh, I'm trying to do the right thing, it doesn't always reward that. But there are some rules that it does reward. There are some things that you can take to the bank. There are some things that you can consider that will work in these different spaces. And that goes to legal. If we're talking about wealth transfer, we're talking about business ownership, we're talking about intellectual property ownership. It also works with education, right? And so let's just jump into them. The first thing that I want to let you know is that these systems reward structure. These systems reward structure. What do I mean? I mean, when it comes to whatever we're trying to achieve or whatever system that you're navigating, most of the time there is a methodology, there is a way, there is a formula, there is something that's at work. That once you understand the system, it produces fairly predictable results. Once you understand the structure of the system, how things are put in place, and you navigate them, that's when you're able to see the reward. Again, some of us have never seen these structures, but in my various roles that I've had as both an attorney as an educator, I've seen the structures behind the scene. I've seen the structures in the criminal justice system. I've seen the structures on the wealth generation side. I've seen the structures on the business side. And there are certain things that when they are put into place, they work. So I'll give you an example for business. A lot of times, having a great idea isn't enough, right? The intention of serving people and helping people isn't actually enough to produce the result of a successful business. You need a specific system. You need a structure. You need a way that you get clients. You need a way that people find out that you exist. Then you need a way, an operation, a form of delivering those services, right? And then a way to repeat that over and over and over again. What is that? That's a structure. You need those structures in place that make it repeatable, right? That allow you to experience the rewards that come with those systems. So, rule number one, the system rewards structure. Number two, for these systems that I want you to know is I want you to know that access to a system is not the same as controlling a system. Access to a system is not the same as controlling a system. So access to the education system is not the same as controlling the education system. Access to the legal system is not the same as controlling the legal system. Access to these various systems do not necessarily mean that you control them. That's why the idea that intention is enough usually fails, because intention is predicated upon the fact that you have access. You think that because I'm here, I'm going to be able to control this. And if there's anything that today's day and age and society is showing us, is that the fact that you have access to a table, the fact that you're in the room, it by itself is not enough. You have to be able to position yourself in a way where your access equals some form of control or influence. Control, influence are the things that matter. And that's actually our third rule, right? Our third rule is that control matters way more than access. Right? So when we're talking about people who are trying to navigate the different spaces, whether again it's legal, education, whatever it is, if you have a business and you are trying to make sure that your business grows, listen, you might have access to Instagram and you might have built your business on Instagram, or you have access to YouTube and you might have built your business on YouTube. But the fact that you don't control that system means that you are now subject to whatever the people who actually control it do. So that's why you saw a number of people who built really successful businesses, generated a lot of income on these social media platforms, having to back down because they didn't control the systems. They had the appearance of control. And that's one of the things I want you to become more sensitive to, is where are you given the appearance of control without actual control? Right? Where have you been given a facade of control, a facade of impact? Oh, we want to hear what you really think. Tell us, give us feedback. But is your feedback implemented? Or, oh, you've been promoted, but has that changed anything on the actual organizational chart? Do you actually have power? Or have you just been given more responsibility, more access to the area without actual control? Right? When we're talking business, right? So we're talking about, okay, again, you're in these different spaces where it's like, I have access to be able to navigate or meet with my potential clients, my potential customers. But can you control what happens in those interactions? Have you been given a large list of rules to comply with that make it harder to? All right, so these are the things that I want you to think about when we're talking about the real rules of the system. And you might be asking, I'm going to pause really quickly before I go into the last two questions or two rules, why I'm even having this conversation. Like, if you've been on this channel before, you know that I'm all about giving the education behind things. And I'm usually here just telling you, hey, this is what this means. Hey, this is the definition of this. Hey, blah, 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 blah. But just like what I experienced with the clients who wanted me to draft contracts and didn't understand the actual rules behind the system, I'm finding that even if I give you, this is how trademarks work, this is how LLCs work, this is how all of this works, if I don't give you the mindset, if I don't give you the resources to really navigate these structures well, it's not going to matter if I tell you this is how you get a trademark, or this is how you get an LLC, or this is what a trust does, or this is what a will does. I have people who come to my office all the time who they know about the things, they have some facts and figures, but they don't understand the actual system. They don't understand the longevity of the system. They don't have a long view game in mind. And so here on this platform, again, whether you're watching from LinkedIn or YouTube or Facebook or wherever it is, I want you to start thinking about things with regards to systems, because that's where you actually find success. That's where you actually find significance. That's where you actually find things that matter. And so we've talked about 3 of the rules so far. Number 1, systems, reward, structure. Number 2, right? Number 2 is that access does not equal control. Number 3, control matters way more than access. So this is why, coming back to this, you might have somebody who realizes that, hey, on YouTube, on LinkedIn, on Facebook, on Instagram, I have an audience, but I can't actually connect with them the way I want to. So you start to see people build their email list more, right? Because that's at least something that they have more control over, right? That's where you can actually say, okay, if it's coming, when we're talking about from a legal perspective, for example, that's one of the things you can consider a trade secret, like your specific list. Your list adds value to your business. Your customer list is something that's unique to you. It's something that you can control. Whereas if you're talking about your subscriber list or your followers or the likes and things like that, yes, you can influence them, but you don't control them, because it really is dependent upon whether the algorithm pushes the content out or not. So for example, I have 9,000 subscribers on this channel. 9,000 subscribers here, a couple thousand more on LinkedIn, a couple thousand more on Facebook, all over these different platforms. But I don't actually control, right, these platforms. So I can't determine that all 9,000 of the people who are subscribed to my YouTube channel are going to see this. I can't really say that all the people who are on my Instagram or on my Facebook or on my LinkedIn are going to see this, because it's not a platform that I control. It's a platform that is valuable for sure. I can access it, I can use it, but because I don't control it, there's a limit to what I can experience. Whereas the owners, the founders, the people who control it can really do so much, because they can control what someone consumes, they can control how much somebody is in front of someone, etc., etc. So we've talked about a few things. Now, the next rule that I want you to know is, I want you to know number 4, systems love documentation. Just like you'll hear people say cash loves speed, systems love documentation. A system in your mind isn't enough of a system. You have to put it down on paper. So that's whether you're talking about in your business and you're trying to figure out how you're making money repeatedly, you have to write it down. If you're talking about scaling and you want to be able to do more faster, you have to write it down so that other people can come and help you. So that, again, even if it's a program, right, so that you can actually communicate it to the technology that you're leveraging. Systems love documentation. Systems love documentation, right? And I know this has been kind of quick. We're at 17 minutes. My last rule, and I think that this is the most important one, is I want you to understand the real test. The real test with regards to these different systems that you might be trying to navigate: a system to generate wealth for your family, a system to generate significance in your life and significance when it comes to your society and the world that you're in, right? All of these different systems are tested, and they're tested in 2 ways consistently. They're tested by time, and they're tested by transfer. Time and transfer are the real tests of all of these systems. And what do I mean? It's time and transfer that will tell you whether or not you've been successful in navigating that system. So if we're talking about business, time will tell you whether your business has really been successful, because if your business is up today, down tomorrow, then you have to go back and look at the drawing board. Something is off, right? Time is telling you that something is off. If you can't hand your business off to someone else, if you can't transfer it without starting afresh, and they can't produce those same results, that's showing you that there's something off in your system and you're limited in the success that you can have. One of the mentors that I had in the past would talk about how if you're a business owner, and a lot of the people on this channel are, that if you're in business, you want to make sure that your business can run without you. Because when your business can run without you, that's when you can sell it. That's when there's multiples. That's when, okay, your business is going to produce generational wealth and be able to produce something for you, right? When you have things that last because they stand the test of time, then you know that, okay, hey, this works. The other thing is transfer. So this might be the transfer of ideas. So when you're communicating, so I'm on this platform, if I'm speaking to you and now you're thinking differently and the ideas that are in my head are now in your head, that's transfer, right? If we're talking about wealth, right, this is one of the biggest ones. It's not about how much money a person has in their generation. It's about how much money they're able to keep and how much money they're able to pass on. That's why we have all of these celebrity stories where you hear about celebrities who have made all of this money, who are millionaires, billionaires, whatever, but they don't have the transfer in place. And so they die or they become ill or something really bad happens. The inability to transfer it tests whether they actually understood the system, right? Whether they actually understood the structures that were in place. And then for a lot of places that a lot of places where somebody might be trying to like navigate a system, right? You might be finding that, hey, you're doing the things that they told you to do. Like you're working really hard. You're out here, maybe you're in business and you are hustling. You are posting every day. You're connecting with people all of the time, right? And again, you see a quick uptick in terms of income, but are you able to last? Like, is your business able to kind of go beyond you, right? Without those things, right, then you're seeing that, okay, the transfer test is not working. The time test is not working. And so those are two important rules when it comes to this system. I know that we might have some people who are joining in. Hey, to all of you who are here. You know, we've just been talking about the different types of systems that are at place or that are at bay here. And so when it comes to this, I'm going to do a quick recap as we kind of start to wrap up, because I really want you to be thinking about this in the future, is that there are different systems. And this is even personal, I would say, right? So if you're talking about a system for just even building meaning in your own life, right? You want to make sure that you're thinking about structure. You want to make sure that you're thinking about alignment, right? Because you can, again, produce quick income. You can have a 6-figure year or a 7-figure year, and then the next year be absolutely struggling because, hey, the test of time and the test of transferability when it comes to, can you transfer this thing into the next space in this business or into the next season, right? When those things test it and it fails, you want to make sure though that you're at least aligned with what you've been created to do, or at least aligned with the things that matter most to you. So when we're talking about systems and we're talking about structure, we're talking about not necessarily your intention, not necessarily your morality. We're talking about the things that you can put into place when you are aligned, right, with the way the system actually works. So quick recap for the folks who are joining. Quick recap for the folks who are joining is, number one, the first rule is that the systems reward structure. All right. So when you're talking about ways to access things, so for example, I've had clients that were trying to access investments, right, to grow their businesses. Well, one of the things that these investors are looking at is they're looking at what type of structures do you have in place in your business that allow us to know that you have predictable income coming in, that makes it scalable, right? Without the system, without the structure, people are going to say, no, you're not going to be able to get any money, even if your idea is great. Your rule number two, right, is that access is not the same as control. So don't think because you're in the room that you're really getting whatever it is that you're trying to access in the room. Okay. Number three is control matters way more than access. So your ability to control what you have is what you want to lean into. You want to look and see, how can I leverage control? How can I get into a space where I own things and can control them more? So that way I can decide and kind of navigate these things a little bit better. You want to look for opportunities for control, which are going to be opportunities for ownership. So owning your list, owning your platform, owning your tools, owning the way you do things, owning your own space, right? Those are the things that give you greater control so that you're not subject to these various systems that are basically operating under unspoken rules. Number four is that systems love documentation. So you want to get serious about documenting things. It's part of the reason that when I'm working with people who have wills and have trust, I'm like, yeah, the fact that you want this to go to your sister or want this to go to your kids or want this to happen this way, the fact that you want it in here doesn't mean anything until it's written down, right? Where have we documented what you really want? Where have we documented the way your business really works? Where have we documented your plan? Wherever you're not documenting, you're leaving room for ambiguity, and you're leaving room for the court to now come and control your stuff, because they have control for anything you don't exercise control over, right? These external systems exercise more control whenever you leave your control up for grabs. All right. And then finally, Time and transfer are the true tests. So when we're talking about systems, I want you to pay attention to what's happening long term. The reason why I think this is really the most important one is I'm watching a bait and switch happen in today's society. A lot of people are so focused on survival right now, which I understand because times are hard. You're so focused on the here and now that you're not seeing the long view game. And I want more people to be aware that, hey, there is a game that's being played. There is a game that's being played today. And if you are not keyed into the long-term ramifications for these various games, whether it's on a political space or a legal space, you're going to be found very shocked and confused in the years to come, because there are a lot of pieces that are being moved with regards to longevity, with regards to how wealth is transferred, with regards to the way businesses are run. A lot of different rules that are being exercised at this time. So I want to encourage you to pay more attention to time, and I want you to pay more attention to transfer. Again, I've seen so many people, particularly in the past 2, 3 years, that they had these amazing highs during, like right after COVID, where their businesses were skyrocketing. And in the past 2, 3 years, their businesses have really struggled. And it's because there are a lot of external systems that are, that are really trying to shift them. But if you can take a step back, knowing that you're trying to figure out how to survive, but also think about longevity. Think about, okay, what do I need to put in place so that my success becomes a repeatable thing? What do I put in place so that the money that I'm making now I actually keep? Right? Instead of, okay, I'm just going to keep putting this back into the system. The system that isn't designed to actually empower you is going to take that money and go in the other direction. Right? That's what's happening to people. But how can you design against systems that can stand the test of time and transfer? So these were some of the things that I want you to know. And again, this is a little bit different than what I usually do on this channel. If you are into this type of content and you're really trying to fix your mindset in order to navigate these systems a little bit better, I'm going to invite you to subscribe to the other channel. I'll leave this here for a while, but I'm going to re-upload it on the Own Elevation/Vault channel on YouTube. And so if you're following me on LinkedIn or any of these other platforms, this will stay here. But you want to stay connected, because I want us to go beyond the surface and talk about the things that are really going to matter. Because again, I could tell you all day about trademarks, but guess what? I already did that. You can go and look at them on YouTube. I can tell you all day about LLCs, and I will still tell you stuff about this. But again, if we want longevity, if we want to get out of this cycle of push pull, if we want to really be able to do more than survive, we've got to take a step back and look at systems and see if we can put certain things in place to allow us to scale, allow us to be sustained through whatever's to come, because it's about to get real. And so thank you so much for joining. Leave your comments. If you're watching the replay, please put your comments below. If there are certain things that you want to know about the system a little bit more, because again, this is the vault. This is where we're talking about those valuable jewels, those valuable secrets that are behind, I guess, the veil. Let me know below. Ask me your questions. I'm here to help. I'm here as a resource. And I really want to stay connected with people as we navigate these times. I want to see people scale. I want to see people successful. I want to see people access significance to a way that they themselves never imagined. So thank you again. Holler at those of you who have been in the chat. We'll talk soon. Take it easy and have a great day.